All right. Hello and welcome back to Redacted Reality here on a segment on Who's Even Listening. This would be episode number 5. All right. So we have we got 2 here, but they're kind of the same in a sense.
Yeah,
they revolve together. So they're kind of both involved in the Vietnam War. Yeah. So just in a little different styles. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into these. And we got Saki, as always, here to dive into it with us, into these deep conspiracies. So as always, like I said, this is going to be about the Vietnam War, so we're going to go ahead and get started here with the first one we got.
Let's do it.
So this would be Operation Popeye, Make Mud, Not War. What if the weather itself was a weapon? In Vietnam, U.S. pilots tried to manufacture monsoons over the Ho Chi Minh Trail, turning roads to soup and bridges to washouts, codename Operation Popeye. From the late 1966 and the early 1970s, Pentagon planners greenlit a covert plan to seed clouds with silver iodide above key stretches of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. In Laos and North Vietnam, the mission was simple and wild. Extend the rainy season by roughly a month so trucks bog down, slopes slide, and river crossings blow out. Logistics, death by mud. Missions flew from Thailand under weather recon cover. Inside the unit was a dark joke, make mud not war. A State Department memo in January 1967 summarized earlier tests. Crews reported rain from 82% of seeded clouds, and one storm nudged along by winds dumped 9 inches in 4 hours on a U.S. camp as it pushed east. Even the memo cautioned the effects were too successful to control precisely. The program stayed classified until press reports in 1972 and 1971 blew it open. Hearings followed, and the global backlash helped propel the ENMO Treaty and the UN ban on hostile environmental modification, which took effect on October 5th, 1978. So, obviously, and we're going to bring this up too as we dive into this. I know, obviously, this is still a thing going on now. Yeah. This is an ongoing thing. It's not just then. This is obviously just an earlier reporting of when it kind of started.
So what does it say specifically? What was the ban on? Because that's what
the ban was actually. So the ban.
That's what I'm curious about, because there is still cloud seeding going on for sure.
Correct. So help propel the ENMO Treaty, the UN ban on hostile environmental and modification, which took effect on October 5th, 1978. So it's just hostile environmental modification. So we have to look at the exact wording on that, the actual. I'm sure that's very loose, obviously, but I don't know what the fine print details are to classify what's that and what's not. But that's
it's definitely interesting because I mean there was some floods in I believe it was Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Last year or the year before, I can't remember right now, but there was floods because they were doing cloud seeding because they wanted to get some rain, some natural. They wanted to produce some rain so that their environment kind of flourished a little bit more because they're in a very dry climate.
No, they like to spark agriculture and farming.
And then eventually they got some natural rain on top of what they had already seeded, and it caused floods. So it's... Obviously, there's still proof of it going on. It's just not... We don't have any proof of how much they're doing it.
No, correct. And it's one of them things, too, we talked about. Mother Nature, you can't... I mean, it's hard to manipulate, man. That's one of the hardest... I mean, and maybe that's why it's even harder to know about, or why it's not happening as much as we think it is or whatever, is because maybe they're at the same point, too, where they're... It's not as... I don't think they have it as figured out as they probably think, too, clearly. I mean, from what the issues are, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of issues. But you can take that to anything. I mean, we've got airplanes, and a lot of them crash too, and there's a lot of them that don't. But I mean, you could say the same thing there, I guess. But regardless, like you said, the ones we hear about, like you said, there's a lot out there now from what we've dug even just a little bit that there's clearly a lot of consequences. So you can tell that they definitely don't have it figured out. So it's scary, honestly, to even think that they have that capacity or capability to really like change the entire climate of something, at their will. That's a pretty scary thought if that is possible, which I'm sure it is, and it will be.
I mean, definitely. I'm sure it is. If at that point in time,
just the repercussions might not be.
At that point in time, they were able to produce that much just rain.
Oh yeah.
At this point in time, they definitely can do.
I agree.
A lot more.
I agree. Yeah. The question is, what are the repercussions from it? And that's the real question.
And I seen something. I just remembered it, and I saw something that the U.S. government had put a patent on this technology to produce hurricanes and tornadoes.
Really?
Yes. So I'll see if I can find that so we can pull it up. Okay. Yes.
Did it say for what reason? It had no clue.
It didn't have a reasoning. It was just that was the patent for the technology.
That's crazy. Okay. Yeah. So they're developing technology to develop their own tornadoes and okay, that's wild.
Should we go ahead and bring up the smart city plan?
Yeah, go ahead. You can start with that. Yeah, we start with that, and we'll go to the second one. Yeah.
Okay. So there's been a lot of floods and natural disasters, we'll call them, all over the place. Recently, what was it? I can't remember now what the most recent one was.
Oh, yeah, you're killing me. I wish
Jeez.
I know they had that one terrible one with the children in that one school in Louisiana or something down there like a year ago. That was awful too. I remember that flood was terrible. Florida had one recently too. I know Florida had a really bad
Jamaica.
flood.
Jamaica just had it. Yes.
Okay.
So Jamaica just had.
Yeah, my bad. I haven't been called up lately.
Yeah. So Jamaica just had a very bad. They got hit hard by this hurricane, and they are like completely flooded over.
God bless.
And they have. Obviously, like, we don't want to dwell on the conspiracy side too much. Obviously, like, shout out to the people.
No, it's
prayers
tragedy,
out to them.
Sad. Yeah, absolutely. Respect.
But there is a plan for a smart city there in 2030, and the smart city plan is very weird. I'm not a fan of it. It's kind of like.
We'll fly that up.
We'll definitely fly that up.
Some I have an idea of what it is.
But yeah, other than Jamaica, there's been I think it was Asheville, North Carolina. It said, and then
there was Myrtle Beach. That was the other one. Yeah,
and,
correct. Yeah, you're right.
Jakarta, Indonesia, had some floods. I saw too, and then obviously what happened in Maui with the fires.
Yes,
and all these places have the plans for the smart city. So you just have to think like,
is it coincidence or not?
Is it really a coincidence, or is this kind of like weather manipulation? Yeah. And they're just doing what they think is the best.
Yeah, whoever's running the show. Yeah. Sad to say. Yeah, you're right. I always bring up this on. I think you've seen the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Okay. It always reminds me of that too. When you think about the way the world is now, like you kind of can't help but think about that movie of how kind of it depicted everything, and it's kind of scary now when I think about that movie. That movie trips me out looking back on it.
Yeah. Because that movie, I mean...
It was ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was. It
was ahead of its time. Yeah, it's a weird analogy, but that one always makes me think
deep.
like that.
Like, it was so deep that you really, like... Yeah. You can take so much from it.
Completely, man. It's even, honestly, like I said, one of the movies that's even more relevant now than it was then. Like, it's crazy. And it still was relevant then. I'm not saying it wasn't. But, yeah, all right, man. We're diving on to next. I think that was good. Good. Yeah, that trippy, like I said, that's going to be an ongoing thing for all of us to deal with that. We're have to, hopefully, obviously, it's hard to get information nowadays, and to get the actual information, I'll say. Yeah. So you can get information, but to get the actual information is difficult. So we'll be interested to see how that...
Finding the truth is the hardest part.
Yeah, sadly. But we'll see how that escalates over time in our life, because I'm sure that'll be brought up a lot more on our segment. But anyways, diving into this is obviously another along the lines of Vietnam. Operation Wandering Soul. Ghost on a loudspeaker. Night jungle, you hear a dead comrade calling from the trees, "Go home before it's too late." Not a ghost, a tape. U.S. PSYOP teams in Vietnam leaned into a belief that improperly buried souls became wandering spirits. They produced audio dramas, Buddhist dirges, wind, gongs, wails, and voiced a spirit of a fallen VC urging friends to leave the fight and return home. The most infamous cut was Ghost Tape number 10. At night, helicopters and backpack loudspeakers blasted the recordings to create the illusion of a haunting surrounding enemy positions. Variants mixed in animal roars after reported tiger attacks to amplify dread. Effectiveness was mixed. Some guerrillas fired on the speakers once they called on. Others reportedly broke contact. Either way, it was battlefield theater aimed at eroding morale and exposing positions under the cover of fear. So, obviously, and there's a few different sides of this. Obviously, this is the U.S. side, obviously, of how they approached it and how they dealt with it in battle. But we have another part we're going to get to, the Vietnamese side of how they kind of approached it as well. But
before we get into that, I mean, it was definitely like, it was interesting how they did that, just because they fed on the Vietnamese people's beliefs. Because they believe like that they believe in ghosts and spirits that could be out there haunting, and especially like during certain times of the year, I read that they believe that it's more common to hear them or see something.
Yeah, so, correct. No, they're like playing off of their own rituals and mindsets. No, it's trippy, man. Yeah,
it was very weird, but I mean, it's kind of crazy because you can see how it worked for to some extent at least, because you had some people that probably defected, and like obviously people were out there shooting just into the air trying to shoot these speakers.
Yes.
And I mean,
no, like you said, even if it didn't get everyone, it might have did something. I'm sure. I'm sure it did something. Like you said, whether it was give off the position or have two of them run off. I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be anything. Clearly it worked too, because like they said, they both did it. That's what even makes it more clearly that it worked, because they were both going at it with that. So that was clearly quite a tactic during that war. You know, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I remember even my grandpa on my mom's side, he was a Vietnamese sniper in the Vietnam War.
Really?
I do know that.
I didn't know that.
So maybe we could try to bring him on if he's willing to. I don't know if I'd have to ask. I don't want to bring him up if he's not willing to, but I know he was. And I remember obviously from that standpoint, I know that there was a lot of snipers then too, but that would be why too. How the terrain was, and maybe that's why too, because it's hard to pick them out. And that's kind of maybe how they kind of pick people out.
Well, see, that's the thing too, is like from what I've heard, at least from the Vietnam War, is that the Vietnamese just knew the land so well that it was just almost impossible to find them.
Yeah.
Like they could just hide everywhere. Yeah. They would be on top of you or below you as you're just passing by, and you'd have no idea.
Absolutely, man. No, absolutely, man. No, we'll dive deeper then if we can, because I meant to bring that up too before we started. But that's a very interesting dynamic. I know you want to talk on, was it the Hanoi Hanna?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Hanoi Hanna, I already knew about this beforehand.
You informed me of this,
and then we brought this up and we kind of decided to mix them together.
Correct.
Because, Hanoi Hanna is a Vietnamese woman, and she was used for Vietnamese psyops, basically. She would come out and she would speak in English, and it was very good English. She spoke very clear, and it was just like her tone of voice was just very ominous, She was just the way that she would talk into the speaker was just very. It was kind of like
eerie, eerie. And when I heard it too, that's the first thing I thought. It puts you like in a weird trance almost. Yeah, it
does. And the things that she would say, it's like some things, they were definitely true too. Like some things weren't. She would say that like you lost the war, like the so and so is dead, which we don't know. I mean, they might have been, they might not have been. And then they would say like stuff, and then she would say stuff like your government is using you. You're fighting this war for the wrong reasons. Like, you don't know why you're here.
No, to get you to think kind of stuff. Yeah. No, dead ass.
And then she would just basically say, like, defect, just go leave. Like, leave camp.
Yeah.
Before it's too late. And
because people, like, it goes back to, you hear a lot of people go, I don't mean to cut you off, but they go, like, talking about how people always talk about having voices in their head, or like, so it can be really believable for a lot of people.
GI, your government has abandoned you. They have ordered you to die, GI. Do not trust them. Defect, GI. It is a very good idea to leave a sinking ship.
Even if they don't think it's like someone else, they could think it's in their head. It could be any. I mean, there's so many ways you can take that. Like, it's a psychological warfare at that point. I mean, it's trippy. That is, it's cool though. It's kind of cool when you think about it. It's not cool, but the aspect of that, it's like you're fighting with almost audio instead of weapons. Is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. The crazy thing is that they did it differently. They didn't have loudspeakers or anything. They hacked straight through to their radio channel.
Oh, through their comms. Yes. Oh, that's even fire.
So they were straight up in their radio channel. Just whenever they would go to listen in for like anything, they would get heard.
That's way better.
Yeah.
Way better. Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, that's yeah. You can get them anywhere. You only got to know where they are at that point.
Yeah.
So that's 10 times more effective. Yeah, that's tough. I'm glad you brought that. I didn't know that part. Yeah. That's tough. That's tough. Is there any other parts of that you wanted to bring up? I know we had a lot in there. Is there anything you wanted to add in there before we wrap it up? If not, it's all good. We can do whatever you want to do. I think we covered most of that, to be honest. I think that's the main points we wanted to bring up. Yeah. You brought up the smart cities and we brought up Hanoi Hanna. So.
And we'll shoot up some stuff for both of those.
Yes, yeah. We obviously we're flying. Josh will fly that up as we were talking about it. So we appreciate you, Josh, as always. And as always, Saki, appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
And as always, this is Redacted Reality, episode 5. And make sure you tune in on Mondays. It'll be every other Monday coming out. And if it's not this Monday, it'll be Chew on This coming out. And then next week after that, it'll be this. So they rotate on Mondays. So after 1 week, you're getting one. The next week, you're getting the other. So as always, just stay tuned into that. Fridays, top 3 and 3. Wednesdays, as always, our full podcast episode comes out every Wednesday. It's 6 o'clock right now, 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, so make sure you tune into that too. Got a lot of cool guests coming on, a lot of different surprises coming up for that too. So make sure you're tuning in to all that. And as always, spread love, ELE, everybody love everybody. Let's try to make this world a little better place. That's all we can do. There's a lot of negativity going on right now, and all we can do is try to do our part and make it a little better. So let's try to continue to do that and lead by example, and that's all we can do. Let's spread love, spread forgiveness, spread kindness, do our part. And as always, tune in, like and subscribe. Appreciate anybody that does. And we'll see you next week, or next 2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks. This is Redacted Reality. Who's even listening? Signing off.